Okay, there we go. We are live and we're back on another Thursday. Today is the Nine of Diamonds Day. We're in the Seven of Hearts week with Croatia. Guided by the cards, Rashad cards, and growing with the seasons, not just Croatia. So we appreciate you all for coming in. And yeah, we were just talking about love and relationships and being defensive. I know I was speaking about the Nine of Spades and King of Hearts one day. I made a post about how the King of Hearts can be very emotionally intense. Also, I was saying that they have to have this type of appreciation within their relationships, respect, loyalty, or like all the things like the King of Hearts goes by. And then also they kind of have to let things go and not get attached to things, it can be very emotionally intense with the Nine of Spades and guarding themselves. I was telling Nick that they can create these characters or create this persona, and they could possibly be guarding themselves based on the hurt and pain they've been through. So that's kind of what we were just now talking about. And the Seven of Hearts has the King of Hearts and Neptune. So they may have the absence or have a feeling like they're lonely, or they may not even have the father in their lives. Sometimes as well, or looking for that male figure that can probably protect them. They want to be protected within
Or
their
come and
relationship.
save them.
Yeah, someone, yeah, or saving someone else, could
Yeah.
be a default as well.
Mhm.
So it's like they're tired of saving everybody else and want someone to come in and take on that particular role. So it's very interesting. Grocia was just talking about the characters we build, within our relationships and or guard ourselves within the essence of love. Like where does that stem from? You know.
Mhm. Yeah, I love the the reference you brought it up before, Rashad, especially with the sevens, how they're protecting themselves from things that happened,
Hmm.
like real hurt, like real, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened to me, kind of stuff. Like, I'm never gonna do that again, or that's never gonna happen to me again. And it's kind of like if you were to twist your ankle or break a bone and you decide you're just like never going to really use it again because you don't want it to break again. But we all know that when you break a bone or something happens, you have to use it again to be
Hmm.
able to get it strong enough. And a lot of times after you break something, it's stronger.
Hmm.
Right. So I think there's something about love and the inner sensitivity we have to rejection and being hurt that makes us create entire personality structures to defend love instead of learn how to take on love, because it's really vulnerable to be really loved by somebody,
Mhm.
to really let somebody love you and to be
Raw.
in that love.
Very,
It's
very
raw.
raw.
It's mad raw.
Mhm.
It's like what
Because because they're not just loving the best parts of you, they gotta love the worst parts of you, and that can be scary sometimes for shit your own self. you know, so
if you don't love that about you and they're loving you, you know how that goes. Oh, no, don't say that. I'm not like that. It's like, so somebody's trying to love you and you're not even telling them it's okay to love the part they love because you decided it wasn't as good as it was supposed to be. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, what?
And like you said, being defensive, even bringing up how a person is, that's not the best parts of them, and them taking offense to it. I've definitely been there before and trying to explain, like, no, like I hate it when I can give someone a compliment, like men. I think that a lot of men sometimes have the issue of being honest. That's why we're like women don't want to know the truth.
you'd be
Like I,
surprised though. I was actually just having this conversation with somebody yesterday. You'd be surprised. We actually probably want the truth. You all feel like we can't handle the truth, or the truth will then make us make a choice and you fear losing this connection, because if
Mhm.
I tell her the truth, she'll know me, she know where I'm moving from, and now she may leave, right? So I
Mhm.
feel like, but really allow us the truth, allow us to choose. I bet you'd be surprised sometimes, but I think that's that like wall we end up with.
And it's a thin line. I think it like of what do you want to hear. Like if I'm telling you like you look better without makeup on, I don't like you with makeup and you wear makeup almost every day, every other day, and I tell you I don't really like makeup like that. So it's like,
Mhm.
what? So you don't like me now? Like
Mhm.
you met me like this. So
Mhm.
what are you trying to say?
Mhm.
So it's a thin line. I definitely seen some people like get aggravated, frustrated. Like, who are you as a man to tell me I can't wear makeup? No, I'm just saying, like, I like you better without makeup. Like, what's wrong
Mhm.
with that? It shouldn't be something you get defensive over. And actually, it should be a highlight. I think that's a compliment.
Yeah.
It's I think there's a thin line sometimes between, like you said, telling the truth, and I do think women love someone that is truthful to them, because so I
Mhm.
definitely have seen it on both ends actually. Maybe just yesterday I seen it on the Instagram post, maybe, and then also about the conversation I had with someone about wearing makeup, and it's like, but she also loves the brash, like, I guess, rudeness of this guy that's like um super confident and truthful with her, but sometimes she get offended, so it's like, how
Mhm.
much honesty can I take?
Mhm.
And that's the seven of hearts as well, like seven hearts, six of hearts. Like, of course, I posted earlier on Instagram or yesterday, like the sixes, you need authentic relationships. You can't be in a relationship and it's not real. So you got to have that truthfulness, that honesty. The six of hearts has the Jack of Spades, where and Mercury, Venus, Mars, maybe. I think it's Mars.
It's Mars.
Yeah, so it's like the truth will be revealed eventually, right? There's a different facade, a different personality. Even the sevens, transforms into a Jack of Spades. It's like
Mhm.
with those, they can see past you being fake, because Jack of Spades is like, how you gonna trick the trickster, you
Right.
know? So it's like that
And
type
I
of.
don't think people realize how, like, that's what I've learned this week. Like, I sense things, I feel it. Like, you don't realize it's just a mirror. Like, you can't trick me. Like, I get it. Like, I'm already like, it's just crazy how that's so true, because there is a very thin, like, especially if I've emotionally connected to somebody. Oh my, I feel, it's crazy what I can feel. And then now I'm like, I sense it. And now here comes the defense mechanisms, because I'm like, oh, wait a minute now.
Well, when we sense it, though, I mean, I'm also rather intuitive to people's emotions, and I've had to get honest with myself that sometimes I'm sensing it through my projection, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody could actually be feeling insecure or hurt, and because of my, value system of myself, I'd be like, oh, so you don't like me or you don't like this? And it's like, no, they're not saying they don't like you. They're saying they feel squirrely about something that's going on, and they don't want to tell you because they want to look strong in front of you. So I don't want to tell you that they're feeling squirrely. But someone might read it like, oh, you don't like this, or you don't want to be here, you don't want to be my boyfriend. It's like, well, no, I didn't say that. So, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? So I think we really have to be careful to not assume, that's the thing about Neptune and emotions and things like that. She gets distorted, man.
No, I know, I live it.
Distorted.
It's what I'm trying to, like, really work on, because I can see how it very much can ruin very good relationships, because everything you just said.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, the insecurities,
Mhm.
and like you said, the emotions. Like, yeah, we can feel people emotions, we can sense when something wrong, but what is it exactly?
Right.
Is it me or is it them?
Mhm.
And then if it is them, what type of what is the reason? That's why I like conversations and those things.
Mhm.
Like, you have to let the person speak. We're not all super psychic, as
Mhm.
far as knowing exactly what it is that may be aggravating someone, or what it is that's causing the issue within relationships. Someone had got a reading, and this astrologers told them that I had like resentment against them, and there was all these emotions that I had towards them, which were during the course of time. Yeah, there was like a lot of Mars Pluto energy, so there was a sense of maybe resentment, or possibly that could have built up in the beginning. There was some type of anger maybe that I had against them. But but I let you back into my life, and I let you back into my space. If that was the case, then I wouldn't have let you back. I wouldn't have let you be around me if I wasn't trying to heal that part of me. If I wasn't trying to let it go, and not let it affect me. Because yeah, of course, there was definitely certain things that was, like I said, between that Mars and Pluto energy where we hurt each other with words, with action, and
Mhm.
everything else. But to hold on to something, I don't believe that once you've kind of elevated and learned the cards and seen all these things, it's like, wow, this person just couldn't handle the energy that was around them. They couldn't handle the energy that I let off and I present to them. And it's not like it shouldn't be something that, of course, you want to help your partner grow and heal and all those things and figure out why, but it's built up habits, that they've had all their life. It wasn't. If I was to take it personally, like you said, I would probably take that into the next relationship and be just as scared within the next relationship if I hold on to it and throwing all this baggage onto the next person, which
Mhm.
I can see that I semi did as far as because I had the conversation. So
Mhm.
it was like I'm trying to heal this process without the other person and also being somewhat emotionally attached to them. So you walk into maybe a relationship or a friendship kind of guarded and speaking and telling them this is what happened to me, so you better not do it.
Right, right. Just to go into the Seven of Hearts because we're there and it's that week. There's a lot. The Seven of Hearts I know can be really unconditionally loving. You know what I mean? Especially to something else. I haven't always seen them so good at like I haven't always seen them good at receiving the love unconditionally as they can give it unconditionally. And I have learned I had a Seven of Hearts here a couple of years back, but that was the hardest part is really receiving love. And that's what makes me think about how much protective systems, like Rumi says, remove all my blocks to love. You know what I mean? Because that's what's stopping my life from evolution. Because there's actually things that we have in place to make sure somebody doesn't get too close. But meanwhile, we're all connected and love is the juice that keeps us flowing and growing. So it's only in the mind that we design these systems, these heart armies to make sure nobody gets in. But I think that's what the life path's going to be then is like, okay, so we got to remind this person somehow that they're love again, and then we can get to how they use their gifts. But as long as they stay blocked to love, there's only so far they can go.
Yep.
Receiving is a huge part. Receiving, I think, is the most vulnerable part of love.
Because I think we weren't, as children or wherever your family environment, if we were taught to give, but never really, and we don't know how to receive. Shoot, some people don't know how to receive compliments, gifts, anything. You know what I mean? Because you're like, wait a minute, you must want something, or you know what I mean? Wait, that sooner, like there goes that defense. Like, wait a minute, what is your intention? Because maybe someone didn't have good intentions in your life at times, so you tend to block it. And I think that is a big thing.
Wouldn't the remedy be, excuse me, wouldn't the remedy be to be able to trust yourself that whatever happens, you'll be able to keep your boundaries, speak your truth,
Trust
and
your
love yourself,
intuition. Yep.
and trust your intuition? Because we're basically afraid of something that's illusory. We're making up all the parts. We're creating personality structures and then stories to back it up so we can stay that way. And then we're saying, I don't ever want to be in love. Forget it. I give up. But your natural state is in love.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are love.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically saying, I don't want to be natural and the bright, shiny thing that I am. I want to dim mine down and have a story that I tell of why I never did it because of what happened to me.
Yeah, that's what me
That's
and
like
Gina
slavery.
it's like, well, that's what me and Gina was having the conversations right before. It's like, oh man, it was like over the last 3 to 4 years, I had to ask myself if I was delusional, because being in love can make you delusional. You can look past, like that's the unconditional part of like looking past someone's flaws or looking past the pain of hurt. Also, I think there's a thin line, right, of looking past maybe what happened, but also being guarded. So it's like looking past all those things, but you don't want to because you don't want to be hurt in that same way, you know? So there is a sense of forgiveness and unconditional love. Like the Seven of Hearts has the Six of Hearts as a reward card, you know? So there is a lesson of forgive and forget, not forget, because Four of Clubs has a it's their Mercury cards. I don't know how much they forget, but forgive, you know, so you can forget. I think that's the key, right? Forgive so you can forget and apologize, you know, take responsibility of your emotions or let them take responsibility of their emotions and let them apologize as well. Don't force it onto them, you know, don't say, oh, if you don't apologize, then you can't do this and that, you know, or like they haven't apologized yet. Like maybe they don't know what they did wrong. Like maybe they didn't recognize they crossed those boundaries or they hit a trigger with you, you know. So there's a sense of understanding that you have to have of this other person, of where they're coming from, and have the conversation, you know. The King of Hearts is in Neptune, and in the Cards of Truth is, I think, is considered like the if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's Saturn. I have to go back and check. But so there's a depletion, you know, a hindrance of, like you said, of letting someone love you as well, you know, or having this type of standard of how much or what they have to do to love you, you know, holding somebody to these ridiculous standards that they can probably never get to, you know, of like, oh, you don't love me because you went to a store and didn't bring me back nothing. Like like what? Like I'm trying to love you the best I can, and that's also a way of blocking it. You know, holding someone to these standards that otherwise like they've never seen or they don't know. You know, they don't know your love language. They don't know certain things, and it takes time. You know, that's probably the thing about love. It takes time.
Well, you're learning somebody. You know, we just put out our couples fishbowl invitation yesterday to start up a 6-week series. We've done the 3 weeks, and now we're going to the 6 weeks. And it's really vulnerable because of all the mirrors and stuff. But the mission of the 6 weeks is shared expectations for a shared reality and learning to accept like who everybody. I don't know if I'm still coming up into that. What you're trying to do together, like what your shared vision is. Do you know what I mean? So like that Scorpio moon hit my house pretty hard. And Miles all of a sudden was really struggling with like a lot of things all at once. And I didn't know what to do because it's not his normal fare. But in this, you know, the short version of the process, what came through was, I mean, because he's so sensitive, but I mean because he's so unavailable, because he's so self-centered. Right? So it's like a catch-22. So as he recognizes that he's been so individual in a unit, so after a while, when you have somebody who's so individual in a unit, they get aggravated at him because they're not playing with the team. You know what I mean? And then coming from my side of the street and talking the way we talk, I'll tell you, and I'll throw a little jab and this and that. He's not like that. He's a Gemini, double Gemini, 6 of Hearts, King of Diamonds. Like he's incredibly sensitive, like so much more sensitive than me, like so much more sensitive than me. I have like callous feet that can walk on glass. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know,
sensitive people.
You know what I'm saying? So like
I'm so sensitive. It's ridiculous.
And like I had to learn, and like I wasn't trying not to be sensitive to it, but I was getting frustrated with the lack of, I don't want to say lack, but there wasn't a buy-in to the we. There was like an accommodation of the sensitivity. And I'm okay with somebody being sensitive, but I can't walk around accommodating your sensitivity all day long. Like you got to let the wind be able to get strong and you can still stand sometimes. You know what I mean? Because then I become in a dependent relationship. But I do have to become nicer and more aware of how those comments can fucking hurt people bad. And I'm just like, oh shit, did that hurt? Sorry. I'm feeling low, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm in life school hard over here. I'm like, okay. But what we got down to is where you all were talking about. It's like, where's the love? Like when he was freaking and peeking, I kept hearing my intuition, like, love him more, love him more. I was saying fuck you to my intuition. I was like, shut the hell up, love him more. Leave me alone. I was just like, I'm not loving anything more right now, you know, like, love him more. Like, and I was just like, wow. So I just, I like to listen to my intuition. So I found ways to be softer and sweeter and to come in because it was a long lasting outburst. And I just wanted to like leave and stuff. But I realized it's like, he's really trying to tell me something. Like this person really wants to surrender to the other side of this and is trying to tell me that as long as I'm mean, he can't give me the sweetness that I need to become softer and more alive with who I'm here to be. So, I mean, it's a formula. It's a beautiful formula. But it takes me letting down my guards and my defenses and what my mom taught me. Because just yesterday, I'm out to lunch with her and she's telling the same stories about how they're all pieces of dirt and that you should never trust them, So it's not like I didn't get long training in this way of being, right? But she is wrong and love should win. And I gave her that for Christmas. Like love wins. Like love needs to win over all the fights inside of ourselves and all the conflicts. It's the ability to be loving and present that needs to take over all of it. But not easy being nice sometimes. I have to be true. I'm like such a fucking straight shooter, man.
It's funny though, because the King of Diamonds is my Saturn card. So that's where that dual side of me comes from, where people are like, oh my God, you're so sweet and nice. But if you heard me on the flip side, it's brutal. It's vicious. And I'm like, God dang. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm like, it's why you don't go out in public. Because, like I can very easily switch, and I can. It's almost it's sometimes scary how I can turn it on and turn it off so quickly.
Yeah, people call me out on it all the time. Mm-hmm. My sons say that mom is as dark as she is light. Don't let that smile fool you. That woman sees right to it, and she'll cut you right where it's bleeding.
Deep, so deep. Mm-hmm.
So, and it's never intended, but it's definitely because it's what I see, and there's this desire to be expressed, So I'm learning that I could have a better life if I could be nicer, right? Because that's what he's telling me. It's just like there's an opportunity here that I'm not able to have because my personality or defense system says, oh, sure, you can love me from over there. You know what I mean? So it's like, but that can't be, right? It's got to be like, I want to love you up close. I want in, It's like, all right, well, then we got to bump it up. You got to figure it out.
It's a dance. It's a dance. It's literally 2 steps back. You know what I mean? It's literally a dance.
Mm-hmm.
And because you are dealing with, because I really do feel like not everybody can be happy and smiley and lovey all the time. That's why it's just like the moon moves every 2.5 days, and how that Scorpio moon came in and bam, sharp, like intense. So you're feeling that, and it's like, okay, how do I express this? I'm not trying to be vicious, but right now I feel vicious. Right. And sometimes you don't even know why. I'm like, what is wrong? Like, it comes out when I drive. That's the worst. I'm like, I need help. I need to not drive.
Is it the 5 of spades pushing you? What you think it is?
Maybe because I will run people off the road. I am very aggressive. Oh, I'm an aggressive. Like, get out of my way.
Oh my gosh, I drive like I'm in a horse and buggy, just going slow. I don't even care.
No, I will run you off the road. Like, move, get out of my way. Pay attention. Like, I think what I get annoyed with is nobody's actually paying attention. And so, because you're not paying attention, you scarcely hit your brake, and I'm riding your ass, and you had no reason to hit your brake. Just drive. Pay attention. I get very agitated driving. Ask my kids.
Note to self: no drives with Gina. No road trips with Gina for me. It's in the book.
Very good. And I'm always using, and maybe it is that 5 of spades, Rashad, because I'm like, me. Get out of my way.
Yeah, I was just talking about that being my Jupiter. I get, I don't know, I get inspired. I can get very agitated at times as well. Like yesterday, I ain't almost lose it, but someone did something that was crazy. Like they pulled up beside me and was just like looking at me, and I was like, and I had the car on. I was in like one of those areas where it's where you have to, like, it's a load zone, in front of a shopping center. So you're not supposed to parked that long, but this dude's like staring at me, and then I'm like, does he want me to move or something? And I moved, and I bumped the car and behind me. I was like, yo, like if you hadn't done that, I wouldn't even bump that car. But yeah, in California, you have to watch your road rage because you don't know about what these
So why
people are
didn't
doing.
you ask the guy? Why did you assume?
Um, I don't know. I guess because I don't know. I'm not sure why I didn't. I didn't think it was necessary. I just assumed that he wanted me to back up. I don't know. Yeah.
Because I mean, like way you just told the story, you decided what he wanted, you did what you thought he wanted, and then something happened and you blamed him.
That's a relationship,
And
right?
that's right there, man.
That is a relationship, right? Yeah, no, you're right. We definitely, I think that's probably, like you said, the assumption of, and like the seven hearts, king of, like sometimes I think king of hearts, king of diamonds, like the assumption based upon what you would do or your standards, or observing what's needed at that particular time. So you just take action and do it. And it's like, no, this person didn't even want that. It's not even what was needed at the time. That's the part of using your intuition as well. Like sometimes your intuition may not be best. And you should probably have the conversation about the intuition, or about what you're thinking, just to confirm. I think there's a lot of confirmation sometimes we need with our intuition as well. I think that's why we run to the cards and all these other spiritual sciences, is to hear and find that confirmation. And I think that's why relationships as well needs a lot of counseling, going back and forth, to confirm the emotions you have and the feelings, and have a third party, to mediate. I think the threes of mediation, or having a third party, I think sometimes is what the threes are as well. So
it's really fun when all the couples are in these little boxes together and talking. You see so much. It's fascinating. But the King of Diamonds, King of Hearts thing that you bring in, the callousness that I referenced before, and this is by no means a story. This is just like a recognition that the people I grew up with were not coddling and didn't say nice things. So I didn't learn how to say nice things. And I bring that up because I think learning how to be loving, learning to be kind, learning to say nice things. Rashad told me in my readings years ago, might be the tone of voice. You might want to talk nicer. I was like, blah, 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 but like, so, but the thing is, I wasn't talked to like that. Right. So it really is like a classroom of like learning to speak more kindly, but to yourself, right? Because those little comments he talked about, those little backhanded things that really hurt him, the ones he revealed, they had nothing to do with him. That was just my gross shit just coming out somehow, right? It's like the hurts that you didn't fully heal, or the things that you don't know what to do with, that like when you're already like, you just throw it out there kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that stuff that is toxic, and that's inside of us. So that's where that love story starts, with the self first. And again, that goes to the seven of hearts. Like it's the love and the honor of the self, being able to like learn something about what love is when you didn't maybe necessarily get those classes in the beginning.
Yep. That's so
true. Because love was sacrifice. Love was, I'll break it to the store. But it wasn't like, you look like, let me hear what you think, or do you need a few minutes, or let me slow down and look at you and pay attention to you. That was not in the idea of what love was told to me to be. And that's why I have my giant mirror saying, can you be nicer and slow down and love me more? I'm like, I don't fucking know.
What's wrong with what I've been doing? I thought I was loving you this whole time.
And so there's, I think that's what you just said. So that's where it is so key, because the way I would do it, the way I view love, or the way I would, is not going to be the same way. And then bam, now I'm sensitive. You didn't show up the way I wanted you to show up. And now my feelings are hurt. Now I'm telling on myself. And now I'm hurt. And I know me, and I can lash out. And that's why I like this time I was like, you know what? I just need to take some time with this, because I really want to sit with this and make it is. I know it's me. That's one thing these cards have taught me, is always to look at me, right? Rather than put it on the other person, and sit with it, and I've been doing that. And, But I think that's a big thing is, for me at least, I'm always like, well, this is how I think I tend to expect people to love me the way I would love them. And when that doesn't happen, I get hurt or disappointed and I'm in my feelings. And then I'm like, fuck you, I'm done. Like, I'll bounce.
You know, Jim, I've said this a bunch of times and I just can't get over the depth and the truth of how simple it is. But when Tristan said that people fall in love and they give each other lollipops all the time and everybody gets what they want, and then one time somebody doesn't want the lollipop and somebody gets hurt and somebody gets mad and then they get stuck that way. So you're telling us that in the early part of this potential romance, you're already starting to get that stuck feeling of hurt and mad and not trusting that love is stronger than it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the crux of situationship, is we end up in positions and blocking instead of in the bed and in the love story rocking, you know what I mean? Because the vulnerability that it takes to get past that feeling stupid because you feel rejected or feeling insecure or just owning it and putting it in the sun, you know what I mean? Like, it's like mold or something, like put it in the sun and let it go away. But instead we like pack it away with some mothballs thinking it'll be right. I'll figure that out later.
Yep. Sweep it, like, just not even, here's what I do, avoid it. Like, I will avoid it, run from it, not address it. And depending on the other person, they may be sick of my shit and just be like, I can't deal with you.
But it's going to mess with your confidence if you do that. If you avoid anything in that nature that runs that deep, it totally affects your confidence because energy goes into avoiding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So your life force is not in a full like reins, you know what I mean? Because you're holding energy, taking care of what you don't want anybody else to see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And eventually it'll come out, you know,
Yep.
because if it happens again, you sweeping it on the rug or denying your emotions is probably one of the worst things you can do, right? Because then you put yourself back into that position where you was the unheard child or kid, you know, that wasn't being that no attention was given to. And like you said, now you become insecure, you know, or you feel like this person is doing something towards you. And it's like, okay, I'm not even going to think about it. And then they do it again. It's like, okay, now you really don't like me, right?
And then we get manipulative too. We get manipulative. We get sneaky. We start to play games. We watch Sex in the City. We learn what you're supposed to do. How do you do this? How do I do this? How do I get him to call me without him knowing he wants to call me? Like, what the fuck?
We become, well, I think that's it. We then use manipulation and power, whatever, to then get the reaction that we think we want, but it usually isn't what we want.
But the vulnerability of love and the sweetness of just being able to get soft and purr, like just to feel at ease with a person, that's really what the goal is to get that ease so you can give birth to more of who your essence is. And as long as we're in those game boards, defending and protecting, I really believe that's the mission of this year, is to really know what love is.
It's 7 of Hearts year, 7 of Hearts week. I mean, yeah. And with that, with the reward card being the 6 of Hearts, I say this in readings all the time. Look at the 6. It starts at the top, but what does it do? It goes back down and into itself. And that's why
that's the trick. Yeah.
That's why the 7s are such an inside job. Like, it exposes your own inner pain, trauma, loss, fear, doubt, but not to like punish you, ideally to work, because I really do feel like with the 7s, it's that's where the work really, really begins, because it's just even recognizing the emotion or whatever it is and unpacking it. And that's why, like, for me in the situation that I'm in right now, I'm like, I just need some time to really sit with this. So I don't want to make I don't want to respond because of my emotions, because that's what I do. I will woohoo, and it can be ugly. So rather do that, because I can feel so much and it gets overwhelming and I don't know, what am I feeling? Is it me? Is it you? What am I feeling? And so I have to kind of really get rid of, remove it all, sit with it. And that to me is growth for myself, because I know old me would have easily just completely sabotaged this in a minute, like 1 minute. So asking for time and space to just kind of like, let me just sit with this for a second, because I don't want to, put this on anything. I know I have to look at me, and that's that 6, take accountability, take responsibility, and then can you, like, then that's where I think the rawness and the vulnerability comes in, because I have to eventually express what I was feeling, why I was feeling it, at the risk of it. However, I think that's where I've come to the point where it's like, this is this is me. And this is what I'm trying. I recognize certain things, and I want to work through them. And it's not like trying to push somebody away from me, but it's just so I don't hurt you, because I know I can be I don't want to hurt somebody either.
You know, Gina, I think there's so much truth in what you're saying in regards to that. Part of what happens is when our emotional bodies or our activating centers get, red lights all over them and stuff like that, there's a way that we're trying to protect others, because we know the damage we can do we've done it to ourselves, and we don't want to do it to others. So I love Space's Grace. And I really also was able to track a little bit with you the opening story of what's growing in your heart. And I think it's really interesting to notice that when things get closer and we become a little bit more vulnerable, we do tend to act out even more and try to find reasons not to be there, right? So there is a real discomfort again in receiving and the full surrender of letting yourself be loved. You know what I mean? Like, long distance love has a certain kind, like, there's ways that love is more fun when it's not right there in your kitchen. You know what I mean? Because there's a real vulnerability to that.
Yep.
Like a true vulnerability to being like seen and loved and tender with another all the way.
All the way. And the moment that there is one inclination that it's like, woo, 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 and you shut, now I'm like, oh God, oh no. And now that's where I am. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit with this rather than do what I normally do.
And put it to prayer, show me how, like Deborah said that time, transform this, make it holy, reveal the truth to me. You know what I mean? Like, take your hands off of it, use that Ace of Spades energy and be like, show me something I've never seen before. You know what I mean? Like, get me out of here. Show me what's really going on.
Right. Make it clear. That's actually been my prayer.
Clear,
like, please make it clear. I know I get foggy, so please make it clear for me, and then I can, make sure I maneuver. I don't want to get. That's the other thing. You don't want to get. I can literally, I can swoop, and that's the only thing. And next, literally lose myself in
my obsession.
Yep. And I think that's key. That's something to recognize. I recognize that, and I want to, like the whole purpose of the cards, and just even, every metaphysical aspect you could include, is to just have a better understanding of yourself, and how you move. Why do you respond that way? Why? Just because this played out, why is my initial reaction so negative to like, where does that come from? And then sitting that with yourself and unpacking it, not just running from it, because we tend to do that.
Yeah, I mean, really, I'm going to be learning to talk sweeter to me by talking sweeter to Miles, right? Because that's really what's like. I have to think more sweetly, and I don't talk sweet to me. Like, he gets what I give me, right? So yesterday, visit my mom, different things. I've been just being sweeter and going and saying nicer things to myself, and then just taking a moment to reflect it sincerely, and not just like, oh yeah, thanks, or like, just like really like, oh wow, that was, thank you, honey, and like stopping and like presence. It's really presence that I know this little girl didn't get. So now when somebody needs presence, I'm like, well, you can't have presence. You got to keep hurrying up and doing what you need to do. Like, we had a fire with Cole over the weekend, and he came home ridiculously hungover, that kid. And so we had to take care of him a little bit. And he thanked us for taking care of him. And I made a fire, and I said, thank you for receiving it. And please forgive us for all the times when you were little, where we were so consumed with ourselves that we probably, when we didn't know what you needed, or we weren't paying attention. And I'm not trying to make you or me feel bad. I'm saying, let's remember this moment where we took care of you. Let's make more of these moments, and remember to take care of yourself and to take care of others. Because when we were running around with the teenage boys and you and your brothers, you weren't getting what you needed. So I'm glad you could receive it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, reclaim it in those moments, because all of us have been lost in the sauce and not always shown up as great as we could. But in this year, in this rebirth, let's be present to the ability to be present.
Being being present and aware. I think, it's like we only can see out of our eyes, so it's hard to understand other than the one-on-one situation, especially in the family or a conglomerate or a group of people. It's kind of hard to put your attention and know the needs of other people, so you do have to kind of go back and making sure everyone is okay, and attend to their wants and their needs, because especially in childhood, those are the earliest years, because we've built up this notion or these thoughts of, like you said, what love is, or what all these dynamics are. And then when we don't get it, it's like, all right, it can't be the happy place that I thought it was. So like you say, you start to judge and put these emotions onto other people. So but yeah, so how do you clear that? Like going back, having a conversation, and apologizing, like the Six of Hearts, like you just said. And someone asks about what is like the reward card. So it's like you have your Pluto card, and then you have your reward card. So you get to your Pluto, and it's like you're rewarded, or what do you really want after the deep desires.
Can
Um,
you get through your Pluto?
yeah, and that's a good question. Can you get through the the deep desires and the feelings of Pluto, right? Like I have a 2 in Pluto,
Same.
yeah. and and the
Rough.
King of Diamonds, Grace has the 10 of Hearts in Pluto. So, that's kind of
And you're
like,
the Pluto card to the Seven of Hearts. The King of Diamonds is the Pluto card to the Seven of
hmm
Hearts.
yeah.
No
Yeah.
wonder me and those 7 of Hearts. Got
I
a
know
lot of
you,
7 of Hearts, man.
yeah, I know you see right through them, and they get every bit of who they are.
That's what Dominic said. The one who edits the podcast, he's a 7 of Hearts. He goes, I've learned so much about myself working with you.
That's funny.
Glad I could serve. Glad I could serve.
Yeah, I had someone ask earlier during like a relationship reading, and PSA, if you're coming to us for relationships or relationship readings, one of the first things is going to be you. Don't focus so much on that other person, what they're doing and what they got going on. Yes, we can see it. We definitely can maybe see it and tell you, but then you also have to digress and also realize and making sure it's not your own projections as well, or your own insecurities, or the energy that's around you, or maybe it's especially if they're like a Pluto connection, because there's gonna like be very intense attraction, but are you ready for that? Revealing of the things that you need to fix, the things that you may need to change within your life or their life. Are they ready to make that commitment, to step into, I guess, a sense of like leadership and command their way through life? Is like take on the responsibility of that Pluto, and meet it with loving arms, and because it may be where you see a lot of your aggression, or a lot of your pain could be from, a lot of your mistrust, or all those particular things could be around that Pluto card, or something that you have to recognize, or maybe you wasn't, so like you said, receive that love, or feeling like you don't get that. So it'd be a constant battle to get to that reward of what you truly want, or you could just be skipping past that Pluto and going straight to the reward without fixing the things that could be causing the issue or the internal problems.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, it's always an inside job, like we've said over and over. And again, it's tuning you into a loving frequency so you can actually invite a loving relationship. Because if you're in any type of guardedness or defensiveness, or where in the story of your family's generations, you're not ready for love.
Mm.
Right? It's got to be you ready to say, I'm going for it. Do you know what I mean? Like when I did marry Miles 20 years ago, I remember having a circle of 20 women who were going, it's because of you women that I feel brave enough and learn myself enough that I'm going to get married again. And I'm going to do my best to like learn this time and not fall into the patterns of self. Like, I mean, I was fully aware. I was almost 40 years old when I got married. So to Miles the second time. And I did. Whole thing was around those women saying, I'm going to need your reflections. I'm going to need your truth. And I don't want to gossip, and I don't want to find reasons for it not to work. I want to see the solutions. I want to grow out of these old stories where we make each other hostage in despair. Do you know what I mean? That was part of my intention. Like, 'cause I know how relationships can eat the life out of you. Come on.
Yeah, and Tamika, that's kind of like the Queen of Clubs. That's what she was speaking about. You know, especially being in a social group, social atmosphere with a lot of women, being of service. You know, and working out your differences and everything else within those intense relationships of discovering truth within inside yourself or others. You know, and having the tough conversations. And
Like, do you want me to move my car?
right. Right. Having those tough conversations. And it could be, you know, from previous things and insecurities or situations that bring up, you know, the bad part of or why you, like you said, like Gene said, I'm running away from the conversation, not even having it, you know.
Mm-hmm. And the bottom line is we're mirrors, and that's where the universe is helping us. Like, we're constantly mirrors for each other. And if we can use the reflection to see the divinity and the clarity and then implement it where we might need it, it's in the mirrors that we're going to find everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's, I think, just even going back to our Rashad and I's Pluto cards, twos are literally mirrors, you know, and it's just a reflection. So yeah, and you know, relationships are very transformative because you know, you do have to look at yourself, your role in it, everything. And I think as you grow and you really take responsibility for your energy, and as you know, that 6 of Hearts is the reward card for the 7 of Hearts, and it is an inside out job. Like, you can't, that's why, you know, the 7 of Hearts has the Jack of Hearts as its Mars card. So it tends to want to be saved or play that victim role, but you have to save yourself. You know,
and we can't bond in despair, and we can't bond in that victim energy. You know, I make a point of that with the people close to me. We can't bond in despair. We have to bond in laughter, curiosity, what's another way. But once you bond in that story, you sink the ship. Like, the energy between those two things becomes fed through that despair. You know, so that's that trauma bonding, pain body shit, right? So we really got to be conscious of what we're doing when we're in those mirrors, you know, and that's why the farmer, Earthman, his phrase is divine reflection. And for over the years, I'd go in there like, did you see this? And what about this? He says, what are you doing? What are you doing? We need to talk about everybody in their divine reflection. Don't start up stuff like that. Don't talk like that. And I was like, oh, wow. Because I used to thought that's how everybody was bonding and talking and this and that. And he really pulled me up as his beautiful 7 Hearts. He really upgraded me to recognize how powerful my reflections are of others and to reflect the divinity in them, to reflect the part of them that wants to grow. And that's what Miles is asking me to do too, right? Like, reflect the part of me that's sweet. And I'm like, well, I got to remember what's sweet about me so I can be reflecting the sweet part of you too, because I didn't always focus on that. So let's change. Let's all change. Let's start to change together a little bit at a time and remember how powerful our words are all the time.
Yeah, it's like in order to get both sides, in order to change, you have to recognize what it is that's wrong as well, you know. But then you go.
You just can't bond over it. You can see, but you can't be like, oh, you know what I mean.
Having a drawn out conversations and those things, I guess. But and I think that's the other thing, you know, people have to go through those what Nina called the dark night of the soul moments within themselves and recognize, okay, maybe when she was speaking truth, but okay, how do I, like you said, reflect and making sure that they understand they need to reflect this other side of where I want to go to or where I want to grow based upon those particular statements, you know.
Yeah, and sometimes meet that part that needs to be felt, because some of the things, like say with the breakdown that we had here with Miles, some of those things that he brought to me were for him to sit with. You know, and he was just using the safety of our relationship to tell on himself. You know, and now you got to go and sit with what you found in the toy box or the back of the closet when you cleaned it. And you got to decide how you're going to love and integrate those things so they stop getting disowned and projected onto others. So, well, good luck, everybody. We can do it.
Yeah, so the 7s, like I always say, they're reflections, you know, because the person that you sit with the person that you go into, and you're going to bring that into the public, because they do want to make friends, they do want to have partners, and they want to have people of value that's around them, that is giving to them in some type of way. They have the two of diamonds, king of diamonds and Pluto, two of diamonds, and the moon, so it's like shared resources, and all of those things. So partnerships and those things are things they want to do, and like you said, they want to be reflected in the best way, like how can we, like you said, grow the gold,
Woohoo! Well, I have to grow the gold and go to my next session, but I'm enjoying that we're keeping our rhythm, guys. I really believe that's the best thing to support change. It's like we're going to practice for our team each week, and I'm really appreciating how all of us are showing up. And let's invite people in. If you guys want to have somebody sit and talk with us sometime on a Thursday, that's fine with me, but I'm just really psyched that we're doing it. So thank you both for showing up and remembering that you're worth it.
No, thank you for
Yeah.
recognizing it.
I love these. Yeah, these have been awesome to really kind of play out. Well, play in. I think it's great to have the dialogue and and now that I'm actually really looking at this spread, it's like really talking to me right now, because it's crazy. The 7 of Hearts has the 9 of Clubs as his Jupiter card. Today's my Jupiter day, and I have the 9 of Clubs.
Nice.
So,
do you want to do some kind of like a recording that you want to put out or something and go more into that? Gina does wonderful recordings for people in a regular way to help them track their lives. They both do individual readings and couples readings. So, any way that you want to continue to let people know what you're offering, because that's the goal, is to bring the people to these resources so we can have the harmony in our families that we're meant to have. Yeah. It's our divine right to live in a loving energy. We just have to be able to create it together.
Yep.
But I appreciate you both so much. And now I'm going to be nicer to Miles now.
We know that happens over time. That Pluto takes some time, right? Yeah. But we're out. We appreciate you all for showing up. And we'll be back next week. If you have questions, just let us know. DM us. Guided by the Cards, Grown with the Seasons, and Rashad in the Cards on Instagram. And the links are in the descriptions as well on the old videos as well. So if you missed anything, we have like 2 or 3 other episodes. So appreciate it, and see you all next week.
Thank you.
Nice.